Hello all. Um, Hi people. This is me, Junior Maema. Today I want to talk about a very important subject, which has to do with bullying. I'll be talking a little bit about harassment as well, but my main focus is about bullying. Bullying, since today is Spirit Day. Spirit Day is a day that GLAD, which is the organization formerly known as Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. Defamation means tarnishing someone's reputation or name. So I'll talk a little bit about GLAD. GLAD is a U.S. non-government media monitoring organization founded by LGBT people in the media before March 2013. The name GLAD has been an acronym for Gays and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, but became the primary name due to its inclusiveness of bisexuals and transgender issues. So, formally, um, the history of GLAD was formed in New York City in 1985 to protest against what it saw as the New York Post's defamatory and sensationalized AIDS coverage. GLAD put pressure on media organizations to end what it saw as homophobic reporting. Initial meetings were held in the homes of several New York City activists, as well as after hours at the New York State Council on Arts. The founding group, including film scholar Victor Russo, Gregory Kolovakos, then on the staff of the New York City's Art Council, and who later became the first executive director. So, I'm gonna go a little bit in the difference between bullying and harassment. What is the difference between bullying and harassment? Bullying and harassment are often used interchangeably when talking about hurtful and harmful behavior. They are very similar, but in terms of definition, there's an important difference. Bullying and harassment are similar as they are both about power and control, action that hurt or harm another person physically and or emotionally. An imbalance of power between the target and the individual demonstrating the negative behavior. The target having difficulty stopping the action directed at them. The distinction between bullying and harassment is that when the bullying behavior directed at the target is also based on protected class, that behavior is then defined as harassment. Protected class include race, color, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, age, disability, national origin, and the list goes on. The, Although bullying and harassment are often used interchangeably when talking about hurtful and harmful behavior, and the behavior may look the same, there are important distinction in the definition, laws, and protection for students experiencing harassment. The differences in the definition of bullying and harassment. For bullying, it's important to note that while definitions vary from source to source, most agree that an act is defined as bullying when the behavior hurts, harms, or humiliates another person physically or emotionally. Those targeted by bullying behavior struggle to defend themselves and stop the action directed at them. There also is an imbalance of power. This means the student demonstrating the bullying behavior has more power. This can be physically, socially, emotionally. For example, a higher social class, physically larger or emotionally intimidating. The definition of harassment outlined that the behavior is similar by its unwanted and hurtful action. It can include unwelcome conduct such as verbal abuse, graphic or written statement, threat, physical assault, or other conduct that is threatening or humiliating. But the negative behavior is based on a student's race, color, religion, sex, age, disability, national origin, sexual orientation, and gender identity. So the difference between bullying and harassment is specifically target someone because of race, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, or national origin. Whereas bullying is like generally just trying to harm another person because you have power, or you have a social class, or you more than intimidating than another person. So for example, bullying behavior meets the threshold of harassment when a student is being verbally bullied and demeaning language about their disability. Students experiencing harassment also have protection at the federal level. The Office of Civil Rights and the Department of Justice have stated that bullying is considered discriminatory harassment when based on student race, color, religion, sex, age, disability, national origins, including even sexual orientation and gender identity. If a student is experiencing discriminatory harassment, federally funded schools are obligated under federal law to address the behavior. If you're looking for more information about how schools are required to stop the behavior, visit stopbullying.gov. Thank you. So the next thing, I'm going to go in depth about harassment, and then I'll go a little bit in, and I'll go more in depth about bullying because spirits there mostly focus on bullying. Harassment covers a wide range of behaviors. So let me talk about harassment first. It's just a short pages, then I'll go about bullying. Harassment covers a wide range of behavior of offensive nature. It's commonly understood as behavior that demean, humiliate, or embarrass a person. It is characteristically identified by its unlikelihood in terms of social moral reasonableness. In the legal sense, there are behaviors that appear to be disturbing, upsetting, and threatening. It evolved from discriminatory ground and has an effect of nullifying or impairing a person from benefiting their right when the behavior become repetitive. It is defined as bullying, sexual harassment. Yes, bullying. Sexual harassment refers to persistent and unwanted sexual advance, even after gently refusing, typically in the workplace where the consequences are potentially very disadvantageous to the victim if there is a power imbalance between the perpetrator. So the content, we're going to go the etymology of harassment. Etymology is like how the word evolved throughout history, or the origin of the word harassment. So let's start. Type, we have electronic, landlord, mobile, online, police, power, psychological, racial, religious, sexual, workplace. Laws. In the United States, New Jersey's law against discrimination. In Canada and in United Kingdom, these are the laws that has been implemented. So let's go to the etymology of harassment. The word harassment is based in English since circa in 1618. Has a long word from the French, which was in term already tested in 1572, meaning torment, annoyance, bother, trouble. Later has of 1609 was also referred to the condition of being exhausted, overtired. Of the French verb harasser, harasser itself itself, there are the first records in Latin to French translation in the 1527 of Thucydides' History of the War that was between the Peloponnesian and the Athenian, both in the country of Greek and the Roman and the neighboring places, wherein the translation writes Arase alleged mean harceler in French, to, to exhaust the enemy by repeated raids, and the military chant Chanson de Franc Archer in 1562, where the term is referred to a gaunt de poil favot, tant maigre et harassé, a form of hair so meager, and where it is supposed that the verb is used meaning tired, overtired. A hypothesis about the origin of the verb harasser is harassing, which was used in the 14th century in expression like cause à la arrache, to pursue, and prendre aucun par la arrache, to take somebody under constraint. The Frank Saussures Etymologic Wörterbuch in German Etymological Dictionary of Augmentative Form, the letter was an exclamation indicating distress and emergency recorded in the 1180, but it is also reported later in 1529 in the expression crier à rossir, to arouse indignation over somebody. Her use is already reported in 1204 as in order to finish public activity as fair or markets, and later in the 1377 still has comment but referred to dogs. This dictionary suggestion will suggest a relation of ROR with the old Lower Francophone era here has by bringing a dog to heel. While the pejorative of the exclamation, and in particular of such exclamation, is theoretically possible for the first word, arrest, may be phonetically plausible for arrash. Semantic, syntactic, and phonetic similarity of the verb harass has used in the first popular attestation, the chant mentioned with the word harass should be kept in mind. Already in the 1160s, harass indicate a group of house constrained together for the purpose of reproduction. In the 1218s, it's also indicated the enclosures facility itself, where those hours are constrained. The origin itself of harass is thought to be the old Scandinavian har with the romantic suffix as, which mean gray or diminish horse hair. Controversial is the etymology relation to the Arabic word horse, whose Roman transliteration is forest. Although the French origin of the word harassment is beyond all question in the Oxford English Dictionary and those dictionaries based on it, as a supposed Old French verb array should be the origin of French verb harasser, despite the fact that this verb cannot be found in French etymology dictionary like of the Centre National de Ressources, Centre National de Ressources Textuelles et Lexicales, and the Trésor de la langue française informatisée. Also, see also their corresponding website as indicated in interlink. Since the entry further alleged a derivation from her, like the mentioned German etymology dictionary, the French language is possible misprints of her harassed is plausible or cannot be excluded. In those dictionaries, the relationship between harassment were an interpretation of interjection her has its urge to attack, despite the fact that it should indicate a shout to come and not to go equal here is above. The American Heritage Dictionary prudently indicates this origin only as possible. The type, there is electronic harassment, which means, and now we're going to the type of harassment. There's the electronic harassment, which means electronic harassment is the unproven belief of use of electromagnetic waves to harass a victim. Psychologists have identified evidence of auditory hallucination, delusion disorder, or other mental disorder in online community, supporting those who claim to be targeted. Landlord harassment. Landlord harassment is the willing creation by a landlord or his agent of a condition that are uncomfortable for one or more tenants in order to induce willing abandonment or of a rental contract. Such a strategy is often sought because it avoids costly legal expense and potential problem with eviction. This kind of activity is common in regions where rent control law exists, but which do not allow to direct extension of rent control price from one tenancy to a subsequent tenancy. Thus, allowing landlord to set higher price, landlord harassment carries specific legal penalty in some jurisdictions, but enforcement can be very difficult or even impossible in many circumstances. However, when a crime is committed in the process and motives similar to those described above are subsequently proven in court, then those motives may be considered as aggravating factor in many jurisdictions, thus subjecting the offender to stiffer sentence. Mobile harassment. Mobile harassment refers to the sending of any type of message, phone message, video message, voicemail from a mobile phone that threatens, torment, humiliate the recipient of these messages. It is a form of cyberbullying. Online harassment. Harassment directs multiple repeating obscenity and derogatory comments a specific individual, focusing, for example, on the target's race, religion, gender, nationality, sexual orientation, gender identity, and the list goes on. This often occurs in chat room, through newsgroup, and by sending hate emails to interested parties. This may also include stealing photos of the victim and their family, doctoring this photo in offensive ways, and then posting them on social media with the aim of causing emotional distress. Cyberbullying, cyberstalking, hate crime, online predator, and stalking. Those are forms of online harassment. Police harassment. Police harassment is the unfair treatment conducted by law officials, including but not limited to excessive force, profiling, threats, coercion, racial, ethnic, and gender, sexual orientation, age, or other form of discrimination. Power harassment. Power harassment is harassment on unwelcome attention of a political nature, often occurring in an environment of workplace, including hospital, school, university. It includes a range of behavior from mild irritation, annoyance, to serious abuse, which can even involve forced activity beyond the boundary of the job description. Power harassment is considered a form of illegal discrimination, and is a form of political and psychological abuse and bullying. Wow, I'm learning so much. Psychological harassment. This is humiliating, intimidating, or abusive behavior which is often difficult to detect, leaving no evidence other than victim reports or complaints. This characteristically lower a person's self-esteem or cause one to have overwhelming torment. This can take the form of verbal comments, engineered episode of intimidation, aggressive action, or repeated gesture, falling into the category is workplace harassment by individual or group mobbing. Community-based psychological harassment, meanwhile, is stalking by a group against an individual using repeated distraction that the individual is sensitive to. Media report of large number of coordinated groups stalking individuals, stalking victims, including a press interview given by an active duty police lieutenant have described this community-based harassment as gang stalking. Wow. Racial harassment. The targeting of an individual because of race or ethnicity. The harassment may include words, deeds, and action that are specifically designed to make the target feel degraded due to their race or ethnicity. Religious harassment. Verbal, psychological, physical harassment is used against a targeted because they choose to practice a specific religion. Religious harassment can include forced and involuntary conversion. Sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is an offensive and humiliating behavior that is related to a person's sex. It can be an overt sexual. It can be an overt sexual nature of a person, sexual annoyance, implied sexual condition of a job, sexual coercion, etc. It can happen anywhere, but it is most common in workplace, school, and military. It involves unwanted and unwelcome words, deeds, action, gesture, symbol, or behavior of a sexual nature that make the target feel uncomfortable. Women are substantially more likely to be affected than men. The main focus of groups working against sexual harassment has been the protection of women, but in recent years, awareness has grown of the need to protect LGBTQ men and transgender people also. Workplace harassment. Workplace harassment is the offensive, belittling, or threatening behavior directed at an individual worker or group of workers. The odious dealing through pitiless, malevolent, hurtful, or embarrassing attempt to undermine an individual worker or group of workers. Recently, matters of workplace harassment has gained interest among practitioners and researchers as it's becoming one of the most sensitive areas of effective workplace management. In Oriental countries, it attracts a lot of attention when researchers and government since 1980 because a significant source of work stress is associated with aggressive behavior in the workplace. Third world countries are far behind Oriental countries in that there are limited effort to investigate the question on workplace harassment. It is also seen as the executive leader. It is also unseen, and the executive leader manager are also reluctant or unconscious about it in the third world country. Under occupational health and safety laws around the world, workplace harassment and workplace bullying are identified as being core psychosocial hazards. Laws. Let's go to the laws now, and we'll be done with harassment. Laws. In the United States, harassment the laws in the United States. Harassment under the law of the United States is defined it as any repeated and continuing and consented contact that serves no useful purpose beyond creating alarm, annoyance, or emotional distress. In 1964, the United States Congress passed Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination at work on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, and sex. This later became the legal basis for early harassment law. The practice of developing workplace guidelines prohibiting harassment was pioneered in 1969 when the U.S. Department of Defense drafted a Human Rights Charter establishing a policy of equal respect for both sexes. In Meritor Savings Bank versus Vinson, 47 U.S. 47 477 U.S. 7. The U.S. Supreme Court recognized harassment suits against employers for promoting a sexual hostile work environment. In 2006, President George W. Bush signed a law which prohibits transmission of annoying messages over the internet, spamming, without disclosing the sender's true identity. New Jersey's law against discrimination. New Jersey, the law against discrimination prohibits employers from discriminating in any job-related action, including recruitment, interviewing, hiring, promoting, discharge, compensation, and the term conditions and privilege of employment on the basis of any of the law's specified protected category. This protected category are race, creed, color, national origin, nationality, ancestry, age, sex, including pregnancy and sexual harassment, marital status, domestic partnerships, emotional or sexual orientation, atypical, hereditary, cellular or blood traits, genetic information, liability for military services, mental or physical disability, including HIV and AIDS and related illnesses. The law against discrimination prohibits intentional discrimination based on any of the characteristics. Intentional discrimination may take the form of differential treatment or statements and conduct that reflect discriminatory animus or bias. Canada. In 1984, the Canadian Human Rights Act prohibited sexual harassment in workplace under federal jurisdiction. In the United Kingdom, in the UK, there are a number of laws protecting people from harassment, including the Protection from Harassment Act of 1997 and the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act of 1994. There is the hostile environment, sexual harassment, mobbing, psychological warfare, sexual assault, and Sexual Assault Awareness Month, workplace aggression. So I'm done with harassment, and I'm going to start another video now talking about bullying specifically.